friends, I have a fun haul to share with you today. As many of you know, my husband and I recently took a 2-week road trip in our camper. We drove across parts of our home state of California, and then we traveled to parts of Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. Our longest stay was in Durango, Colorado. We stayed and camped there for 5 nights. And as you can see, I did most of my shopping while there. I hit up several thrift stores, the antique store in town. We even hit up the farmer's market and the flea market, which was amazing. My dad and stepmom lived in Durango for about 10 years while I was growing up, so this was quite a memory-filled trip for me. I spent all my summers there, and I spent alternate Christmas breaks there as well. This was my first trip back to Durango since my parents moved back to California about the time I graduated high school. I'm not going to say how many years, but it had been a lot of years since I had been. And this was Jim's first time visiting Durango and the area. We had such an amazing time. We were able to catch up with some family friends, some dear friends of my parents. In fact, if you are visiting Durango, I highly suggest taking the Durango Silverton narrow gauge train ride. It is glorious and amazing and a lot of fun. We did that one of the days, and our friends came and picked us up in Silverton, which is the town that the train ride takes you to. We had a wonderful lunch. We got to visit with them and catch up, and then they drove us back to Durango. You can take the train both ways, but it's a very long day if you go from Durango to Silverton and back, and we were so thankful, blessed that our friends came and picked us up, and we had such a great time catching up with them. Jim also fished. We took little sightseeing trips, and I did lots of shopping. So we squeezed a lot of fun into those 5 days, or I should say 5 nights, and we loved it so much. We're hoping to go back again and hopefully take the kids, because I think they would love it too. So let me get into the haul. For those that are watching that are planning on visiting Durango, I took a few notes of stores and places that I wanted to mention. There are 3 thrift stores in town. So there's the United Methodist thrift shop. There's a Goodwill that's outside of town. It's a beautiful Goodwill. It's newer. And then there's the La Plata County Humane Society. The only 2 thrift shops I was able to get to were the Methodist and the Goodwill. So I don't have really input on the Humane Society one, but I did hear from our friends that they definitely recommended it. I just didn't have time to get there. There is an antique store downtown Durango, which is called the Durango Antique Market. It is a booth style antique store. I highly recommend. I thought their prices were really great. I was being very selective of the things that I picked up, so I didn't go too crazy. I knew I would be thrifting and antiquing and hitting any flea markets that we happened to pass during the 2 weeks, so I was being very selective, but yeah, lots of goodies in that shop, and it's 2 levels. The back of the store has an upstairs too, so lots of booths in that store. We also hit up the Durango Farmer's Market, which is on Saturdays, May through October. I highly recommend that. Obviously, it was produce and food. There were some arts and crafts. I picked up a cute little handmade card for someone in our family, and I did pick up one item that I'll share with that, but mostly we just bought fresh coffees, fresh vegetables, that kind of stuff. Delicious. And then we also hit up the Durango Flea Market, which a lot of the items that I will be sharing are also from that. It was amazing. I would highly recommend if you are in Durango. It looks like the flea market runs from April 18th through October 31st. And it's on Sundays, and it's at the La Plata County Fairgrounds. I found so many amazing treasures there. I couldn't believe the prices were amazing. It was fun. Highly recommend. I think if you're limited on time and you happen to be there, I would definitely recommend the flea market, the antique market for sure, and definitely don't forget to hit up the farmer's market if you're looking for fresh vegetables and that kind of thing. I would say Methodist is a good place to hit. Goodwill is kind of hit and miss. I didn't find a lot at the Goodwill, so I would say if you only have time for one thrift store of the two I visited, I would definitely recommend the Methodist thrift shop for their prices and their selection. Okay, so let's get into the haul. Also, some of these items are for crafting, for junk journaling. Some are home decor. Some of these items are things to use for organization in my craft area. Some things I bought because they're items that I collected, but I thought you would enjoy the variety. So, okay, let's get started. One of the items that I picked up from the Goodwill is a vintage sewing pattern. And this is actually for doll clothing, but I love the retro look of the ladies. This was $1.99. I thought that was fairly well priced, and I'm comparing it against prices that I find here in Southern California. I'm hoping I can get this tag off here. Maybe if I heat it with a heat gun. I am hoping, fingers crossed that I can, but I think this would be a great cover to a journal. If I can't get the tag off, then I'll just do a little fussy cut and use the ladies. And of course, it looks pretty thin, but of course they're doll patterns, but I always love to use the tissue paper and the pattern papers inside for collaging as well. That was a fun find. The other thing I was happy to find was this pack of unopened index cards. In fact, I picked up a lot of index cards on this trip. I never find these locally, and I just seem to have hit the mother load of index cards. There'll be another haul for you to look out after this one. This is just Durango. The other haul video that will come after this are just random finds that I found in Arizona, in New Mexico, and a couple other places where I hit up the thrift stores. So this is fine, $1.49. I don't know if that's well priced, but I was glad to find those. So I think that was it for the Goodwill. So two of the things that I picked up at the Methodist thrift store were these handmade pottery planters. They're both marked at $2.50. They're both signed. I just think this is beautiful. This one for sure I am going to keep. I'll put a cute plant in it and put it somewhere in the house. I think the colors are great for our home, and it's very hard for me to pass up handmade pottery, especially at these prices. I have quite a collection and an affinity for it. And then look how cute this one is. So this one actually has holes for hanging. I'm thinking maybe I can, I don't know. Obviously I can just use twine and make a simple hanger, but maybe I can try my hand at macrame. And yeah, I'll find a cute spot for this. If I can't find a cute spot, it will end up in my Etsy shop. Okay, the other items I picked up at the Methodist thrift shop is this really cute holder with playing cards inside. I believe the maker may be Schmidt, and this is already listed in my Etsy shop. But look at the illustrations on these cards. Oh my goodness. I was tempted to keep these, but I have so many playing cards in my collection for crafting that, and they were in such beautiful condition. I thought that they needed to be listed in my shop, but look at those. Aren't they cool? I believe this is a game from Germany. If I can, I'll put more information up. My daughter Taylor was helping me with the listing. I was taking pictures and she was helping me do the description, but I believe that is the type of game. Aren't they beautiful? Oh my gosh. Yep, I was definitely tempted to keep, but it's in such beautiful, fabulous condition. All the cards are there, so it can be played with or crafted with. Look at that. I mean, the cover itself is so pristine. I found more of these index card tabs. Oh, look at these prices, $1 and $1.50. So these were priced even better than the Goodwill. Those were another fun find. I found, look at this, 50 cents. What a great price. I haven't even opened it. Let's open and look. And this is just random flashcards. Looks like we have red and some blue colorway. Let's see what else is in here. Maybe different tones of blue. We have some bright blue and light blue in color. And then these I think are just random cards. They're not even the same size, but these will be fun to put in craft packs, collage with. We'll have some crafting fun with those. I also found this little container here of vintage Dills pipe cleaners. I love to craft with this. Anytime I find these kind of old vintage style cleaners, I pick them up. I don't even know if she charged me with this. It does say 14 on here, but I think she might have just thrown it into my bag. This was really fun. So let's take a closer look at this. It says The Christmas Story, and it's a book of sheet music. Let's see. It says edition 1930. Okay, copyright 1949. And I picked this up because it is specifically Christmas music. So I thought that would be fun for Christmas journals, collaging, maybe covers, that kind of thing. So I thought this was a good find. And I like the font and the look of it. I have no idea what this was priced at. I think it was like $1 maybe. The other thing I grabbed at the Methodist thrift store was this Better Homes and Gardens flower arranging book. And look, little bonus inside. So it has this little booklet here, Principles of Flower Arranging. Isn't that cute? Oh my gosh, I love the illustrations in that. I think they're adorable. So that'll be fun to craft with. And then let's look at the pages themselves. What is the copyright? I want to say 60s or 70s maybe? Let's see. Did it have it? Did I miss it? 1957, and look at those cute graphics. This reminds me of that Better Homes and Gardens sewing book that I picked up a while back. Isn't that beautiful? So it has color illustrations. It has these cute kitschy 1950 illustrations here, or I should say beautiful color photographs in those kind of muted 1950 tones that we like. So this has lots of crafting opportunity, and the pages are not super slick. They're a little bit more matte, which is what I love. Look how cute that is. So that will be fun. And then this is probably one of my favorites. I have a few favorite things that I picked up on this trip, and I think this is probably most definitely one of my favorites. I did pay $12 for this, so I did pay more of it. In fact, when the woman was checking me out, she flipped it open, and I could see the look on her face. She was like, wow, $12? Is this mispriced? And she was reading the inscription here and kind of looking at it. And I said, you know, open and flip through a little bit. And I said, yeah, I usually don't pay this much for books, but the color plates and the illustrations in here are amazing. So she understood why I was willing to pay that price. Isn't that fabulous? Oh my goodness. I mean, I'll have to decide. I haven't done any research on this book yet to see what the value is. These are the types of books I come across, and then I really have to think on it and decide what I'm going to do. It's so beautiful. It's in lovely condition, but certainly these plates would be absolutely amazing to frame. First off, they would be amazing. Because of the copyright, I can't scan these and distribute them that way. Oh my gosh, look at that. The poppy, Mexican poppy. How beautiful is that? So this will take a little bit of research. This may end up just sort of going into my library. I do have a number of books that are similar to this, birds, floral books, that kind of thing. Oh my gosh, beautiful, right? So that was a happy find. And I'll let you know when I do more research on that. So I think that was it from the Methodist thrift store. Oh, let me share this. So this I picked up at the flea market, and I actually grabbed one for my daughter Taylor too. The woman who had this booth, she explained to me that she scans books and various things onto fabric, and then she sews these cute little clutches. So I picked this one up thinking it would be fun to use here in my craft space, maybe to hold, I don't know, maybe I'll put like my bookbinding supplies in here. I think it would be really fun. For that, the one I picked up for Taylor had some scans of, I think, Hobbit books and that kind of thing. She loves that whole trilogy, and of course, I never saw a little golden book that I didn't love, but she had purses, she had zippered bags and pouches like this. She was even doing, adding them, you know, adding this fabric that she makes. She was adding it to hats and jean jackets and all kinds of cool stuff. If I can find a link to her business, I will also put that here on the screen, but this was an extra fun find. That was the only thing that I had picked up from the flea market other than yummy food and vegetables. Okay, now we'll kind of look at the things that I picked up from the antique store that was in town. Oh, and I also wanted to say that the Methodist thrift store is downtown as well. So that's a really easy trip to hit up both the thrift store and the antique store all in one day. In fact, they are in a walking distance from each other. So I recommend doing that if you can. One of the things I found was a cheese box here, Kraft American processed cheese box. I only have one other that was gifted from a friend, but I love to use these here in my craft space to hold tags and things like that. I think these are great to corral ephemera. In fact, the one that I have is on the shelf behind me, and it actually holds my collection of, my current collection of penny dolls. So that's another, maybe I'll be able to show a picture or I'll post it on Instagram, but I just shredded a bunch of book pages and made just a little cushion and a little shred in the bottom, and then I have all my penny dolls sitting in it. So this was a fun find. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep this. If not, this may end up in my Etsy shop. I'll have to see if I have space here. This was such a cute find. So I had a great conversation with one of the vendors. In fact, he saw me carrying the cheese box and he said, "Oh my God, it's a cheese box. Oh, that's wonderful." And the vendor that I picked this up from, they had two. So I was enabling him. I said, "Oh my gosh, it was 50% off. There's one other. I only grabbed one." And I told him, "You should go down there and grab the other one." He goes, "Oh no, I can't go look at it." We just had a really fun conversation. He was such a nice man. And then he also said, "Oh, anything that you see in our booth that you love, we're offering 10% today." He explained it was a booth he had with, he and his daughter run the booth, and he just was so lovely. We just had really a lot of fun chit-chatting, and I did find something really adorable in his booth. I don't know if these originally went together. I'm guessing they probably did. The colorway looks a little bit different on them, but it was this little plate, like teacup and saucer set. Isn't that cute? So very sweet. So this will go on one of my shelves behind me, maybe in my little shadow box, and I think that's awfully adorable, and I just love the conversation I had with him. So that's something that I will always remember. The other thing I picked up, I'm always on the lookout for readers. This one looks like it's actually pretty old, 1906. Let's look inside. I believe is the copyright. Yeah, 1906. So I paid $5. I thought that was a pretty good price for this. And I don't know if it has color illustrations. It looks like it's mostly just text, and then it has these black and white illustrations. But they're very, very sweet. And I have a small personal collection of readers, so I will be adding this to the collection, and then at some point I'll probably go through them and decide on the ones that I'm keeping, and probably sending others off to a new home, whether I do a live sale or likely post in my Etsy shop. Look how beautiful that is. And this is in really beautiful condition for being that old. So that was a fun find. The other thing I picked up, I've been on the hunt for a typing book, and I haven't been successful in finding one in the wild yet, but this caught my eye. It's a typist's guide from sight to touch, 1912, so this is in the antique category. And I love the text in here. Look how cool that is with the guide keys, your right hand, your left hand. I love the illustrations in here of the old typewriter. So because this is antique, I can go ahead and copy this. So I don't need to use the original, but I can copy and craft with it. Isn't that cool? It almost seems, well, it has a bit of a texture on it. It almost has kind of an embossing sort of feel to it. So I can see the, whatever the text is on the other side, it's quite heavy. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can pick out the circles on the other side of the paper. Very cool. So that'll be fun to use in some capacity. And then the other thing I picked up was the Scott Specialized United States Stamp Catalog. Looks like the copyright is 1971, and I just love the graphics. I love the graphics of the stamps and the columns and the text. I just think this is a lot of fun. I'll do a little bit of research on this and see what the price or the value of it is, but likely, oh, and it has writing in it. Looks like somebody actually used it to help with their stamp collecting. So because it's written in, I think this gives me permission to dig in and take it apart. Now, I think we're down to the items that I picked up at the flea market, and they are oh so fun. So we're gonna make our way through these. I think I'll go through kind of the breakable things and put them behind me, and then we'll look at the fabrics and the books. Okay. So the first booth that I came upon, I picked up these little sweeties. So he had a little display case, and I immediately noticed these penny dolls, and I asked him how much they were, and he said $1 a piece. Yes, $1 a piece. I need to do a little bit of research. These may be part of a collection. These may have been sold as a set, so I need to do a little bit of research. Out of all 5 of them, this one pops out. This is the one that I would most like to keep. I just love that she's holding a little book. I think she's so adorable. They were originally sold as a set. I will have to contemplate a little bit. I have quite a few penny dolls in my collection, so I probably need to go through and kind of simplify my collection. I have some duplicates. I have some that I really, really love. I don't want my collection to get out of hand. I'm just keeping it very small and sweet and just to the one cheese box. So I will do a little bit of research, see if these were originally a set. If so, I may list them in my Etsy shop as a set, although I love her. I love her with her little book. So we'll have to figure that out. But those were great. Oh, and the other thing that that vendor had that was in the little display box was this little Easter ornament, and I think this one was $1 too. He said $1, and I couldn't leave it behind. It's so cute with its little wooden kind of ball head and its little body here. I think it's made from like straw or raffia, but I don't know. I thought this would maybe be fun to see if we can recreate it or make something that looks similar, right? I think that would be pretty easy. I have a bunch of these wooden balls, and then I also have a lot of the spun head style of heads or faces. So that was a fun find. And then the next booth that I hit up, I actually picked up several things from her, some of which are already in my Etsy shop, and some I'm in the process of listing. But this was one of the fun finds from that booth. Aren't these beautiful? So I think these are from the 70s. And it's a set of 4 sort of cocktail napkins. But look at the beautiful graphics on those. So very 70s. Mushrooms, dragonflies, there's acorns. I think some of them have fruit. There's some, I think, French writing on them. So I thought those were very sweet. And these are already in my Etsy shop. The other thing I picked up from that same vendor is an antique medal. So it says here, the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America. Isn't that so super cool? I love finding really unique things like this. This was manufactured by, I believe, by the Whitehead and Moore Company. This is currently listed in my Etsy shop. I just think it's very cool, very unique, and these are the types of things that I love to find when I'm out and about and special. I'm very happy to be able to bring that to all of you. Let's see, I'm trying to go in order. I also picked up this lovely, lovely sweet tea towel from her. She had a really great variety in her booth. This one I just need to iron it and then I can take photos, but this will be going into my Etsy shop. That's why I already have it here and keeping it nice and clean. The other thing I grabbed from her booth was another reader. I always have my eye out for these readers. This is the Silent Reader's First Reader by Lewis and Rowland. Oh, that's cool. Has a stamp here, Board of Education, Logan, Utah. Let's see if we can find a copyright. 1924. We're officially antique. And this one does have color illustrations in it. Isn't this great? It does have a little bit, oh my gosh, look at that book. It does have some condition issues. So again, I'll look to see, look at that with the bird. I'll look to see what, if I have a copy of this in my collection. Look at that. Oh my gosh. So beautiful. I believe I should be able to photocopy these And maybe we can do some crafting with the photocopies rather than doing anything with the actual reader. I don't know. I love readers so much. I have a hard time thinking about actually taking them apart and making a journal or crafting with them. But we will see. Oh, I also picked up this little baggie of dolls. Aren't they cute? I know not everybody is a doll lover. Let's see, can I see on the back? Actually didn't look closely at this one. Oh, this is an Irwin. Okay, made in the USA. It says Irwin on the back. I didn't really take a super close look at this. So I'm not sure on her yet. I may keep her and make a little outfit, maybe make a little assemblage with her. I made a really cute assemblage in the past. I made kind of like a little Valentine doll and decorated and made some little miniature things to go with it. So yeah, she's gonna stay with me for a little while and she may end up in an assemblage. And then I think these three will probably end up either in a lot by themselves or maybe a listing on Etsy where I have a little drop down and you can decide which baby wants to come home with you. So I think that's what will happen with those. Oh, and then the last two things that I got from her, she had some really beautiful glass items. I picked up two of these Costa Boda owls. I picked them up because I love them. I have quite a few glass owls in my own collection, but I ended up listing these on Etsy, so there currently is a listing for them. And this one does have its original signature. It says Handmade Sweden, Boda. This one does not have an original signature, but it's also from the same company. And I just think that they're awfully sweet. And I decided to part with them because I bet she found or sourced them as a set, and I sort of wanted to keep them together in a set. So they are currently in my shop and available, I should say, as I'm recording this. So that was it from that vendor. So let me clear a little bit and then bring everything else forward. Okay, I almost forgot about this treasure. I know it's going to be really hard to show you what this is, and the camera is awfully close, and I don't know that I can bring it further away, but hopefully you're going to be able to see. I know it sort of takes up the whole frame, but this is what I believe to be an antique cubby. Probably was in an office, maybe in a library back in the day, but it is a beautiful oak cubby. You can see how old it is with this sort of flame oak here. You can see how it's joined together here. Just gorgeous. And I only paid $5 for it. Yeah. What a find. What a find. Here's the bottom of it. It is just gorgeous. And I will insert a picture. As soon as we got home, I wanted to put it into place, so I cleaned it up. And it's been sitting on the top of that little cubby that's behind me here in my crafty corner. And it fits perfectly on top, and you'll see in the picture of that, and it actually freed up about a bin or a bin and a half of vintage ephemera that I had in the cabinet, because you know we need to go back and revisit that organization series, and I haven't yet tackled that cabinet, but it was amazing how much ephemera, as you can see from the picture, that fits into this. And yeah, even how much I love the penny dolls, I think this was the best find, my favorite find, and for $5. So crazy. Okay, so now we'll get to the last few things I picked up from the last vendor. This was the first thing that caught my eye in that booth, and it's just a little mortar and pestle. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's marked made in France, and I just had a lovely time in her booth. We had a lovely conversation. I think some of these items were things that she picked up to craft herself. It sounded like she did a lot of paper collage and definitely was a fellow crafter and creative. So it was a lot of fun seeing the things that she had for sale and seeing the things that she made. And yeah, I had a really great time talking with her and hanging out with her for a little bit. So I think this was something maybe she even picked up in France. It sounded like this was part of her personal collection. And I just think it's awfully sweet. I have a larger one that belonged to my mom that I have on display, and this one I actually picked up for Taylor because I know she loves the one that my mom has, and she was really excited to get that. So that will go to her, probably be in whatever her future home or apartment is. We have a little box that is started for her in the garage. The other thing I grabbed, and all her prices were amazing. I think this was like $5 for this. This little cute box, I think she quoted me $1 for it. I just love old boxes like this. I think this will be fun to keep stamps or little bits of ephemera here on my desk, maybe paper clips, that kind of thing. That was a fun find. Oh, this was the other fun thing that I grabbed from her booth. So I've added the twine in, and I saw this idea somewhere. I've seen it in magazines. I saw this idea at a cute little antique store that I visited in, I think, Santa Barbara area. I was on a girls trip with some of my vintage friends here in California. And I saw this idea, but I haven't really come across one that I love, but I love the orange top here. I guess, I don't know, what is this for? Like cheese? Maybe cheese or something like that. I know sometimes people will keep them next to their sink and maybe put like Comet or like a scrubbing agent, but I saw the wonderful idea to put twine in. So all the twine is actually mine. I just grabbed it out of my drawer over here, and I think it's going to work really well. So I just put it in. I don't want to pull it too much, but it is coming away. They're not getting stuck in there. So yeah, isn't that cute? So this will sit on my craft desk and I can just quickly grab it. I don't have to run over to the drawer, and I can just pull out how much and whatever color of twine and I told her that too. I said, oh, I'm going to use it to hold twine. I hope it works. And then she had a wonderful collection of books. This is not a book I've seen before. It's called I Spy, a picture book of objects in a child's home environment. And this I definitely will craft with. I think a lot of these, she said she had picked them up to craft with, and that just wasn't something maybe she was physically able to do maybe anymore. This is published in 1970, and because it's ripped there, it'll definitely be something that I craft with. But look how cute this is. So there's just all these little squares with these cute illustrations. So these will be perfect to make tags out of, or page decorations, decorating little text spots and that kind of thing. In fact, this one right here, I'm currently working on a sewing journal. So I think how perfect would these be? In fact, I'm marking that spot because those are perfect. The only downside, oh, look how cute. I'll have to decide between the scissors and the pin cushion. That's the only problem with these types of books when they're double-sided like that. You have to kind of pick and choose. But maybe what I can do is just make a tag. Let's see, I don't know. I'll have to figure out a way to do it, maybe so I can save the double-sidedness of it. I don't know if you guys have any suggestions, but super cute. The other one I picked up is called On True Happiness. I don't know much about this book, but I just thought the illustrations were awfully beautiful. Let's see, copyright is 1969. But look at that. Oh my gosh. With the pink and the green. What a cute colorway. Look at that. So this will be fun. We'll have to do a little bit of research on this one too, but I think I would definitely will end up crafting with it. Let's see what it looks like without the jacket on it. Look how cute that is. Oh, that's awfully, oh my gosh. I love it. I love the sun. This would make a sweet little journal cover. Okay, that was fun. And I think all her books were like $1. She has $6 here, but I think she just charged me $1 for any of the books I wanted to pick up. This looks like it's a little reader, Little Friends. It says Annette Moorhead. Maybe that was the owner. Let's see what we can find. Printed in the USA, 1934. It says July 55, 8 cents, $8, 8 cents, right? It says originally owned by Sandra, or at least Sandra had it at some point. Now, this definitely has some condition issues. It has definitely a lot of foxing. So this will be one that I'll be crafting with, just so I can save the pages and sort of save the book in some capacity. Yeah, it's definitely not in the best of conditions, but that's great. That gives us permission to craft with it. She also had this through the year with World Book. It says this booklet is designed to increase your enjoyment of the World Book Encyclopedia and the daily benefits you derive from it. There are 12 units of 6 pages each for you to follow throughout the year. How fun is that? Let's see if we can find a copyright. 1948 was the original, and then we have, it was followed by a 1955 copyright. And the graphics are amazing. So, oh, look at that one. Oh my gosh, I didn't see the pumpkins before. Oh, so this will be fun to do something with for sure. Lots of craftability in that. And then, oh, let me get this out of the way. And then we'll look at this last book and then all the fabric I got from her. This was a fun find. In fact, I've already taken some out and I've made little packs. I'm in the process of making an Etsy listing. I just need to do a little bit more research and I'm trying to figure out how many I want to put in each of the packs. Right now I have a quantity of 3. But these are Lily of the Valley cocktail napkins. They're made in Denmark. They're beautiful. In fact, she told me that she had originally picked them up to decoupage with, and she just never got around to using them in that way. So they're marked here, made in Denmark. And then there's 4 of these little Lily of the Valley baskets on each of the napkin. So I just think these are beautiful. They're delicate. They're very sweet. I think maybe they would even make a beautiful thing to decoupage on the front of a book cover, a journal cover. I just think they're beautiful. There's so many in here. I haven't gone through and counted, but far more than I could probably craft with. So I will be adding a few packs to my Etsy shop. So you can look in the link below. Hopefully I'll get those up before I post this video. And then the last book I grabbed from her is the Christian Mother Goose Big Book. This is not one that I've come across before. Let's see what the copyright is. 1992, so it's a fairly modern book, but I love the sort of vintage antique-y look of, is that a word? Antique-y look of the illustrations in here. Aren't they sweet? So I think we have some color and some black and white. How fun are those? And again, it was $1 and it was just Too cute to leave behind. Look how cute these are with the frogs. So sweet, right? So we have all the little fairy tales. Oh my gosh, look at that bird. Oh, right? Has a very, very kind of vintage vibe. Let's see, what was the original copyright? I'm surprised it looks a little, I guess it's 90s. It has a little 70s feel to me, but, right? Especially kind of how kitschy some of these look. I don't know, but this will be fun. This one we'll definitely be crafting with. Tons of fun in here. Very cute. Okay, and then the very last thing is this whole sort of pile of fabric. I've actually sort of taken it apart. Let's untie this if we can. And I actually used some of the fabric. So I was working on a tag last week and this was sitting on my desk and this green fabric caught my eye. In fact, I think I used both of these. I think I used the turquoise in one project and I used the green in another. And this little bundle was $5 for all this material. And she had 2 bundles. This one I picked out the a lot of the batik fabric sort of caught my eye. So let's just look through this really quick. And a lot of the pieces are really big. It's a lot of fabric here. Definitely more than a fat quarter in that piece. So that's kind of fun and retro. I love this turquoise. So cool. And it has like a little bit of silver metallic, if you can see that. What's this piece? Oh, that's pretty. I kind of like the see-through nature. Looks like maybe it was curtains or something like that. Definitely looks like something that was cut up and saved. Here's some green. Looks like maybe little raindrops, that kind of thing. Love that. This has a really cute print with this green and black. I don't know, sort of 80s-esque. I don't have a lot of green, so these are good finds. Here's this beautiful black with the green leaves. Look at that. Ooh, I love this. Yeah, this is what caught my eye. Some of the batiks in here. You know how I love turquoise. So this will be fun. And these are just, ooh, look at that. This is kind of like a cantha. I don't know, what is this called? Type in the chat. I know there's a specific name for this type of material. I don't have any of that type of material in my stash. So those are beautiful. I don't think it's cantha. Cantha is from India. I feel like that may be from, I don't know, African? I don't know where that is from. I see this all the time at the flea market though, and it's very expensive. They sell pieces of this at like the Long Beach flea market and definitely the Rose Bowl. And I know that it's, it can be quite expensive. Okay, so here's an orange, sort of like that turquoise. How fun is that? Oh, so it looks like there's many multiples. This would be great for Halloween. That's gonna be perfect. We have it in a green colorway. Looks like we also have it in the purple, which would be great for Halloween. Ooh, look how beautiful that is. So it's kind of like a gold metallic. It has sort of a brocade look. Ooh, this may work well for a journal that I'm currently working on. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, we have more batik. So we sort of have this purple polka dot batik material. Isn't this fun? Oh my gosh, I love this. Such variety. Here we have a brown tone. This is sort of kind of a brown maroony polka dot. Love polka dots. Oh, look at this. Ooh, look at that. What's this one? What is that? It's kind of, is it lightning maybe? Maybe lightning? Kind of yeah, I think it's definitely maybe clouds and lightning. Roots maybe? I don't know. What do you envision that? What do you think? Oh, that's pretty. Look at this one. Ooh. Now this one almost has a handmade. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at this. This almost feels a little handmade. If you guys ever did batik when you were in high school or college, it's quite thick. And I think, right, we used wax to do the batik resist. It almost has that feel. In fact, there may be a little bit of wax residue. It definitely feels like a handmade piece. Is that not cool? Ooh, I love that. I mean, that would make a great piece to frame or a pillow. I don't know. I think that's really special. Okay, I keep ignoring this piece. I think this looks like another piece of that other material. I don't know, maybe it was a skirt or something like that. It has seams on it, maybe curtains, that kind of thing. Awfully pretty. Ooh, look at this one. I feel like it's kind of French country vibe a little bit, even with this colorway. Oh, that's beautiful. Is that a bird? Yeah, I feel like it's sort of a bird motif. Very pretty. Very pretty. A couple pieces of that. Oh my God. Oh, look at this. Okay, this reminds me of that Italian paper, right? Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. See, I didn't even look through this. This was the pack that appealed to me the most. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. That would make a beautiful spine on a journal. Oh my gosh, I love that. Beautiful. Oh, look at this one with the reds. Has that French country kind of look again to me with the florals. Beautiful. Oh, look how fun this is. It's zebra. What does it say? Joanne? Yeah, I think this is a Joanne. Something for Joanne. Oh, that's kind of fun, right? So it's sort of a silky material with these fun zebras on it. That's a fun piece. Oh, look at this one. I love this. Navy stripe, kind of a denim. Again, there's a seam on it, so this may have been something that she rescued maybe from curtains or something like that. I love that. Now look at this one. So this definitely has an Asian vibe look going on. It says printed exclusively for Hobby Lobby stores. Really beautiful. You know, I had picked up a bunch of Japanese fabric at that one local estate sale. So this will be fun to combine with that. And the pieces that I had picked up, those were silk and really beautiful sort of woven pieces. That estate sale was from an artist and a sewer, and we also picked up several handmade kimonos from that estate sale. It looks like maybe, I don't know, somebody was making something with that, but that is awfully pretty. So I hope you enjoyed this very eclectic haul. It was a fun one. I had tons of fun finding all these treasures. I'm happy that I can share some in my Etsy shop. We will be having lots of fun crafting and creating with many of them as well. Let me know what was your favorite find. I know what my favorites were. I'm hoping I get to keep this little cutie, and I just adore the cubby. If you are planning a trip to Durango, I definitely recommend checking out the flea market, the antique store, the thrift stores that I visited, and I hope to be back and visiting Durango again sometime in the future. What a great trip we had. what great memories we made, and I just loved revisiting what was such a happy place for me growing up. So thank you, friends, and I will see you in the next video.